John made a comment. It was a very disrespectful comment. Then he challenged any 58-year-old on the planet to fight him. Step forward. Now I fear no man on this planet.
There's a lot of controversy out there, and we're going to just give just a little bit on this, because we're going to go right back, Joe. You know, you're such a character. You've got such a life behind you. But look, I just can't help but asking, Mr. John Fury, it's out there. It's absolutely everywhere out there. What is this fight going to be? Is this fight going to be on or what, Joe?
Misfits Boxing are trying to negotiate terms with John Fury. John's trying to make it a little bit personal. John made a comment to people at a movie premiere, and the movie premiere was called Prize Fighter, was the film, and he made a comment about me, and it wasn't a very nice comment. He didn't need to make that comment about me, because I'm supposed to be his friend. I've known him a number of years. I know his sons. I respect him as a fighting man. I think the word of his son as heavyweight champion of the world, what he's had to gone through to achieve what he's achieved. You know, Tyson Fury is an incredible man to come through the mental health problems and then to win the world heavyweight title. His other boy Tommy, and now Shane, and the other boys that are doing the boxing, I give him the utmost respect. But when he made a comment about me, it was a very disrespectful comment. And then he's on the stage throwing tables up in the air at press conferences for young boys and girls that are watching boxing, a whole new audience to boxing, this World Wide Web, these YouTubers that are bringing in millions and millions and millions of new fans to the sport that I love and that he's supposed to love. Now with boxing, you don't just need to be a great fighter, you've got to be a great ambassador for the sport. And I don't think John Fury is a great ambassador for the sport, the way he conducts himself. So with the comment that he made about me at the premiere of Prize Fighter, and with his conduct on the stage at these events, he sort of upset me a little bit. Then he threw out the challenge. Any 58-year-old on the planet that is brave enough to fight him, step forward. Now I fear no man on this planet. Some people spell the word fear, forget everything and run. I spell the word fear, face everything and rise. That's me. So I've stepped up to the mark and I said, I'll accept your challenge, John. Me and you, let's do it in the boxing ring. On the world stage, Misfits Boxing will back us, and let's give it a go. We're both 58. Neither of us would have had the best preparation for our professional fights. John worked on a building site, then went to fight on the night. We had no luxury of a training camp. I worked the doors in a pub, I worked the doors in a nightclub, and I worked in Dublin Airport, then went to fight. Little sleep, couple of hours here, couple of hours there, trying to train, trying to focus on the fight. We didn't have the luxury of a 14-week training camp. So we never really fulfilled any potential that we had. Neither of us are any good. We're just two tough men. That's what we are, two tough men.
Before we jump into that now, my new book has just hit bestseller on 2 categories, called Extraordinary, Stephen Gillen, The Search for a Life Worth Living, and I will be going over to wonderful Dublin on the 1st for a media tour. You know, you can catch me on the breakfast show there in the 2nd Saturday morning.
I've been hit on the chin by 3 heavyweight champions of the world, and I wasn't knocked out. John got hit by 1 and was knocked out. So I do believe that my chin is better than his. And on the night that we fight, if the fight comes off with Misfits Boxing, I believe that my chin will stand up to his punches, and I hope his chin doesn't stand up to mine. Right. The world wants to see it, Stephen.
Yeah.
The world wants to see it, but I want to do it on a proper stage. I want to do it in a boxing ring. Do you understand? Not in a barn behind closed doors.
It's got to be a bit of money in it. 2 guys, you know, there's a good bit of money in it. There's a bit of money there.
I wouldn't be afraid to go into the barn with John. I know I'm going to walk out of that barn. I know I can have a street fight. He can have a street fight. We're both hard men. But there's no money in it.
He's
on about, also he talks about his social media and his viewing figures. I watched the Free Bet interview now the other day. He's on about the mass audience that he's got. Fair play to him. People have took an interest in his life. I'm over the moon for him. Do you understand? But if he's on about his big viewing audience, what does he want to do behind closed doors? What does he want to do on a big stage where the world can see, win, lose or draw? They will see us fight to the best of our ability after a good training camp, and whatever's left in the tank, the best man will win on the night. He said something about me that if the fight's made, I would sit at the press conference and I would look him in the eye and I would say to him, why did you say that, John? Why did you say that?
What did he say, Joe? Do you want to say it?
No, I'm not.
You don't want to repeat it?
I want to look in his eye.
Right,
because
okay.
I want to... I had a friend of mine a number of years ago, Irish heavyweight champion, John Kinsella, right? Good heavyweight. He beat Audley Harrison in the Olympic trials, right? But John went down the road of crime and ended up getting a big sentence, right? And he missed the opportunity of going to the Olympics. And Audley Harrison, who he'd beaten in the Olympic trials, who he could have beaten in the Olympics, John could have been an Olympic gold medal winner. Do you understand? But he ended up serving a lot of time in prison. Well, John came over to see Mike Tyson on a dinner in Derby for Clifton Mitchell. Clifton had put this dinner event on. Another great heavyweight, Clifton Mitchell, right? Who was trained by and managed by Brendan Ingle. And Clifton's my good friend, runs a big security firm, does well for life, does well in life, right? Well, Clifton's put the dinner event on. John's flown in, his family is in Derby, in Nottingham and that. And he said, I want to ask Mike a personal question tonight, Joe. I said, well, the compere is insisting that he passes the questions that he's asked on to Mike.
Yeah.
Because when people stand up to ask Mike the question, they freeze. Because they're intimidated by Mike. And it's happened at many events. They stand up with the good intentions of asking Mike a personal question, and then they freeze. So what they do now is, the question is given to the compere relays the question to Mike, Mike answers the person. And John said, no, Joe, I won't freeze. I want to ask Mike the question. I don't want it to be told to him beforehand. I want to see his reaction as I ask that question. So I said to Mike, and I said to the compere, Mark Peters, they said, fine. I said, this guy won't freeze. This is a good heavyweight fighter. He won't freeze.
Okay, Joe.
Right. So
let him answer the question.
John stood up to ask Mike the question. Mike had already met John. He goes, hello, Mike. He goes, hello, John. He said, I've got a question for you, Mike. He said, you collect pigeons and I collect falcons. He said, in life, he said, the afterlife comes, he said. In the afterlife, would you come back as a pigeon or would you come back as a falcon? And Mike looked him in the eyes. He goes, John, I would come back as a pterodactyl. Like that. Split second. And I thought, what an answer. The most powerful prehistoric bird ever. Yeah, and Mike answered it like that. And the audience erupted and John went, what an answer. Now, that wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't practiced. It was spur of the moment question, right? Now, I want that same feeling when I look John Fury in the eye and say, why did you say this, John? And he would either choke, right, and start looking down, right, or he will look me in the eye and he'll say, I didn't say it, Joe. No. Right? It's one reaction that I want to see.
You want to see it?
I want to see his body language.
It needs to be.
Right? Because it's been told to me. It's been told to me.
Yeah.
Right? It's been told to me. Right? Now the person that told me is a good person. Yeah. Whether they're exaggerating or whether it was said.
We'll have to see.
I will look John Fury in the eye at a press conference and I say, why did you say that about me, John?
So here's a question for you. KSI, right? They're putting a lot of money behind this, right? I mean, with 5 million. Is this the number? This is what we're talking about.
That's the figure to talk. Well, John wants millions. John said it himself, he wants millions.
It's a lovely payday. I mean, it's certainly a fight, John, I would love to see. You know?
The world wants to see it.
Yeah.
You know, John Fury is the heavyweight champion of the world's dad. He's made a spectacle of himself in front of these YouTubers. He's built up a fan base that dislike him, right? Because the comments out there that are coming in, people want to see him getting brought down a peg or two. I hope that I can beat him.
Well, it's a fight that we want to see because there's a few quid in it. Why wouldn't you want to do it? Now, I know, John, right, you know, I know some of your family. There was a couple, you know, even sent messages between people because we know people who know each other really, really well.
Shane has said.
But this is a fight that, you know, I would love to see. And there's many people out there would like to see. the old way, the proper way. I mean, that's what I say to it, Joe. And I'm completely neutral to all of this stuff, I have to say, but I do know everywhere I go, this is definitely a fight everyone wants to see.
The thing is, right, two donkeys make a good race, Stephen, right?
Absolutely.
That's what we are. We're two donkeys. Neither of us were racehorses, right? So two donkeys make a good race. I haven't cycled a bike on the street in 20 years. But I know I could go out and cycle a bike tomorrow.
I think it's
I'm
a
not
fair
going to win.
matchup.
I'm not going to win.
It's a very good matchup.
I'm not going to win Tour de France, right? I haven't been in a boxing ring in 20 years. Last time I fought in a boxing ring was 38 years of age. I'm 58 now. Neither of us are going to be dancing around. We're going to stand in the centre of the ring and we're going to punch each other as hard as we possibly can.
Two warriors. And you're a great opponent. You're a great opponent. You've got a great pedigree, Joe.
I've lost
well, when you go in there, there's a nice bit of money in it.
I've lost the two.
You should take it, John.
I've lost the two southpaws in my career, right? For anyone who doesn't know boxing, southpaws are fighters that lead with the right hand.
Yeah, very
I've lost the two southpaws, right? Third time lucky, fingers crossed. But it's a payday and a half.
It's John a southpaw as well. So it's going to be awkward. Look, you know,
the thing is, right,
nice bit of money in it.
Yeah,
nice bit of money. Nice purse.
But I don't mind if John gets the bulk of the money. Do you understand? He's bringing a bigger name to the table with his son being the heavyweight champion of the world. I don't care if he gets the bigger part of the purse. If he wants the bigger part of the purse. If he's a good man, he'll say, no, we split it down the middle, 50-50. With Misfits Boxing, they've got the World Wide Web. The Zone is backing them financially. KSI has done amazing things for boxing. Mams with Misfits has done amazing things for boxing. I've got a young man helping me, Theo. He's a YouTuber. He's amazing. I've got my agent, Dave Mariner, helping me. I've got Kamal Singh, who does my website, helping me. These guys are the future of the World Wide Web. I'm old school, smoke signals and pigeon posts. I don't understand this. But this is the way forward, right? Whereas before you watched boxing on terrestrial television, ITV, BBC. That's why Steve Collins, who I fought twice, Nigel Benn, Chris Eubanks, Michael Watson became household names because they're on terrestrial television. Then one step on, they brought in Sky Sports and Box Nation. Not everybody has Sky Sports and Box Nation. So the audience, the viewing figures when Nigel Benn fought Eubanks, I think it was 24 million on terrestrial television. 24 million people watched it, and that was an incredible amount of people watching. These World Wide Web users, they get 100 million plus viewers. You know, that is an incredible audience to fight in front of. Now, you've got sponsors that give endorsements to put logos on fighters' dressing gowns and tracksuits and caps and shorts and stuff. Now, if they've got access to an audience of 300,000 on Sky Sports or an access to 100 million on the internet, I know where I'd want to be advertising to 100 million on the internet. So boxers have an opportunity to make more money by endorsements and advertisements, and I think it's great. I love the fact that these people, when Freddie Flintoff fought, right, okay, people are criticising him, saying, no, he's a cricket player and he shouldn't be boxing. Listen, he wants to give it a go, I admire him, right? He got front page news, right? Now, he's got a big fan base of cricket fans. If a small percentage of them suddenly decide, oh, I like this boxing, and they step over to watch boxing as well as cricket, boxing's benefiting, and I think it's great.
Listen, what do you think about Carl Froch? Well, I'm going to put this one in, Joe, because Joe said there's been a bit of controversy with him.
Let me tell you about Carl Froch. Carl Froch was an Olympic bronze medalist, an incredible amateur, Carl the Cobra Froch, right? Yeah. I met Carl at a dinner with Ryan Rhodes, and he's a lovely man. He is an incredible fighter. There's only three fighters that I've watched that I can tell you. See, when you get knocked down, right? When you get knocked down and you have to get up and you've got to deal with it, right? Yeah. And you get up, right? I watched three fighters. There's probably been a lot more over, there probably has been a lot more over the years. Larry Holmes got knocked down by Ernie Shavers. Ernie Shavers raised his arms and he says to himself, Ernie, I met Ernie many times, God rest him. I've met Larry as well. Ernie says, for 10 seconds when he raised his arms, he was the heavyweight champion of the world. Because he said the punch he landed on Larry Holmes, he knew Ernie had knocked out a lot of men. He's got the biggest percentage of knockouts, more than any other heavyweight. He raised his hands. He didn't think that Larry Holmes was able to get up. And Larry Holmes raised to his feet. and went on to win the fight. That's one, right? One of the greatest heavyweights of all times, Larry Holmes.
True champion.
Right?
Yeah.
I watched Carl Froch getting knocked down by George Groves.
Yeah.
Right?
I've seen that.
Right? He was gone.
He was in trouble.
Right?
The legs was going to me. He got back though, didn't he?
I watched him being interviewed.
Yeah.
I watched him being interviewed. When he said he got hit by Robin Reed in one of the rounds in the fight. And he went back to his corner. And his corner was pinching the back of his leg. And on the 5th pinch, he went to the corner. What are you doing? And he said, that's the 5th pinch. He was still able on instinct to walk to his corner on his feet after getting hit with an overhand right by Robin Reed, another great champion, another Olympic bronze medalist, World Championship silver medalist, 3 times world super middleweight champion, an incredible champion, hit Carl Froch, right? So that's Carl Froch against George Groves, Larry Holmes against Ernie Shavers, and Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder. 3 men that I've watched being unconscious, out for the count, rise to their feet on willpower, instinct, determination.
Will not be beat. There's
right?
no way you beat me.
Carl Froch has an incredible will to win. Because I watched him against Jermaine Taylor, right? And he was a mile behind, but he still kept going, totally focused, determined. He's an incredible champion.
Yeah.
See, when he speaks, to come out, the fights he had with Mikel Kessler, I was at one of the fights, right? The fights that he's had with the great champions. And he's come out of the sport totally intact.
You got to hand it to him, Joe.
Incredible.
You have to hand it to him.
He was in wars. He was in wars.
Out.
His speech isn't slurred.
Yeah.
He's articulate.
Clever
He's
guy.
funny. Right? He's very funny when he talks, right?
Oh, yes.
His banter is incredible. And you know what I love? I love the fact that him and George Groves have become great friends because they've earned each other's respect. They had 2 incredible wars, right? And they're both lovely men. And I had the privilege and the honour of sharing a table with George Groves. I've done a dinner with George. I've done a podcast with him the other day. Big fan of George. I'm a big fan of Carl's as well. But for John Fury to be trying to call out, not trying to call out, to be calling out Carl Froch on his opinion, right? Because Carl Froch is entitled to give his opinion in boxing. I didn't like what John Fury done to Carl Frampton, right? He tried to bully Carl Frampton, a 2-weight champion of the world, a man that has lived in a war zone in Northern Ireland, a man that brought communities together. Carl's a Protestant, his wife's a Catholic. Barry McGuigan was the same. Barry was a Catholic and he married a Protestant girl. They have brought communities together. They are Irish heroes. Right, Barry McGuigan is an Irish hero and Carl Frampton is an Irish hero. Both champions of the world, both incredible champions. John Fury tried to intimidate Carl Frampton because Carl Frampton gave his opinion in a fight. Men and women died in the world wars, right? Because they stood up against fascism and dictatorship, right? So we're entitled to freedom of speech, right? And if you can't have freedom of speech, what was the point in these men and women dying in the world wars, giving their lives in vain, right? Carl Frampton gave his opinion and John Fury tried to bully him for it. Carl Froch has given his opinion and John Fury's tried to bully him for it as well. Do you understand?
What do you think would happen? I know it's not going to happen. I've seen Carl, he said a couple of things out there. Don't get a lot of time to look at all this stuff. I'm extremely busy myself, but I have come across a couple of things Carl was saying. Right response, right? What do you think would actually happen if John Fury and Carl Froch, as he is, he's still as...
Carl Froch could stand there and say to John, I'll give you 2 free shots, John. Hit me with your right hand and hit me with your left hand, right? And they will bounce off Carl Froch's chin, right?
The guy is...
okay, and that's a super middleweight. That's a super middleweight. That's a super middleweight with a chin of granite, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, John Fury. I'm going to tell you a story now. I'm going to tell you a story now, right? I sat in a bar in Vegas with a great fighter called Steve Foster, the Viking, right? I sat in the bar in Vegas. We were over at a fight, and me and Steve Foster sat in the bar, right? And Steve said, Joe, I prepared for the fight for the world title, British and European champion. I prepared for the fight against Winky Wright, Ronald Winky Wright, diligently. I was in the best shape I've ever been in my life. And he said, I hit Ronald Winky Wright with the best punch I've ever thrown in my life. Bang on target. right on the chin. He said, I felt the punch from my knuckles to my ankles. And Winky Wright looked at me, Joe, and he said, quit now, Steve. Now, when a man takes your best punch and just doesn't blink, doesn't blink, and looks at you and says, quit now. Now, Carl Froch would be able to take John's best shots. People ask me who hurt me the most in my career, right? Jokingly, I always say the tax man hurt me the most, right? I joke about that, right? But I got in and I sparred, right? I've sparred some of the best heavyweights of all time, right? And I've been hurt many times by Mike Tyson. I got hurt when I fought Lennox Lewis. But the man that hurt me the most with one punch, was a former super middleweight champion of the world, right? A guy called Victor Cordoba. I was sparring in Mr. Eastwood's gym, sparring with Noel McGee, the Commonwealth light heavyweight champion. I was sparring with Ray Close, the Irish cruiserweight champion. Steve Collins, world title contender at the time. I fought Steve twice. Went on to win the two middleweight and super middleweight titles, right? But Victor Cordoba, the Panamanian, was matched in Belfast, and for some reason the stadium wasn't selling, the King's Hall wasn't selling. The Belfast fans, who are avid boxing fans, probably the best fans in the world in Belfast, the atmosphere is electric, right, when the fights are on in Belfast. Protestant and Catholic communities come together, and a box in the King's Hall, a box in the Ulster Hall. So I've experienced the crowds in Belfast, right? So Victor Cordova was top of the bill. Mr. Eastwood said to me, he said, Joe, for some reason the show wasn't selling. We've got the TV cameras have come to the gym and they want to highlight Victor's skills. We can't put him in with Noel McGee because he's on the bill. We can't put him in with Sam Story because he's on the bill. We can't put him in with Steve Collins because he's on the bill. You're not on the bill, so would you mind sparring with the man? I said, no problem, Mr. Eastwood. You're looking after me very well. I get in and I'll spar, right? So me and him are going through the motions of the spar. He hit me an uppercut, Stephen, and he caught me on the tip of my nose. Now, they say you can drive the bone of a nose into a man's brain and kill him. This is what they say. The blood went everywhere, both my eyes closed, and the pain that man inflicted on me with that one punch, worse than I'd ever been hurt by Mike Tyson, worse than I'd ever been hurt by Lennox Lewis, and that was a super middleweight champion of the world, right? Same weight as Carl Froch.
Yeah,
so
very fast.
Listen,
very fast.
Carl Froch probably walks around about 13 and a half stone, right? Of solid muscle.
It's a fast weight.
Right? 13 and a half stone of solid muscle that can fight and box like he can fight and box. He would hurt John Fury. John Fury would take it, but he would hurt him, right? He's a younger man, he's a fitter man, and I tell you what, he's a lot more experienced. He's had more world title fights than John had fights. So don't fool yourself, John, by thinking you could beat Carl Froch.
It's a bit of a push by anyone.
You might be able to beat me, John.
Yeah.
I think I might be able to beat you. But know your limitations. And we are limited fighters, right? We're limited ability, and my ability and your ability is of the same. Your ability against Carl Froch, no, not the same. Different class. Different weights, but different class.
Yeah. Here's another one there, Joe. Right, it's been out there. Another guy, he's out there doing some vocal stuff out there. Micky Theo.
Don't want to talk about him.
We don't want to talk about him.
I don't want to give that man any glory at all, to tell you the truth, right? I phoned him up.
I just got to ask, because people, I know you, Joe, respect you. I can ask you any question.
Micky Theo had a grudge, right? Micky Theo had a grudge. He said, I don't want to talk about him, I'm talking about him, right? Yeah. Micky Theo had a grudge against John Fury, and they were talking about fighting each other on the street, right? Now, John's already done a prison sentence for fighting on the street, several years in prison. The man's eye came out in the fight, sadly, tragically. So, John doesn't want a street fight with Micky Theo. I don't even know why he's talking about a street fight with me, right? But Micky Theo made himself busy with John Fury. And
this goes back a bit.
Yeah, so I spoke about what I thought about this street fight. I said it to John, don't fight him on the street, right? You're on a licence, don't fight him on the street.
Doesn't make no sense.
Doesn't make any sense, right? Me and John were pals. So I said to him, don't fight him on the street. So I done a little bit on the internet, right? A little video. And I said, Micky, I said, listen, the NHS are under enough pressure at the moment, right? The NHS are under enough pressure at the moment with what's happening. Sadly, a lot of people lost their lives during COVID. God rest them, I lost some friends during the pandemic. But the NHS, which is an incredible service.
Around that time as well, wasn't it, Joe?
Is an incredible service. The NHS, incredible, because I lived in America for a lot of years, and they say about America being a great country. America's a powerful country, but America doesn't look after its sick, and it doesn't look after its unemployed. So it's not a great country. This is a great country because it's sick, get looked after on the NHS. In America, if you don't have money, you don't get medical care. This country you do. Yes, they're under pressure. There might be big waiting times, but you will get seen. And I admire and respect the NHS. Right? So I made a joke. I said, listen, Mickey, the NHS are under enough pressure without you fighting John Fury, where they'd have to rebuild your face. Right? Okay? So it was a joke. I was backing John to beat him. Right? So wind the clock on. The fight didn't happen with him and John. So now there's talk about me and John. So Micky Theo's now thrown his name into the hat. Okay? And he's up there making his videos saying that I'm a coward. Well, that's one thing I'm not, is a coward. So I phone him. I get his number and I phone him. Cuts me off. I get a second number and I phone him and he cuts me off. So then I put 141 and he answers. So I said, Mickey, it's Joe Egan. I says, you cut me off and you blocked me. Now I said, what's with the videos? And he said, well, you said that John Fury was going to smash me to bits and they'd have to clean me up off the footpath. I said, I never said they'd have to clean you up off the footpath. I said, I gave my opinion that he would cave your face in. That's my opinion. And I still believe he would cave your face in. Yeah. Okay? But that's my opinion. It's an opinion. Like I said, that's my opinion. He believes he's a fighting man. I know John Fury's a fighting man. And I believe that he would beat Micky Theo because the good big man always beats the good small man, in my opinion. So Micky Theo now has got to be in his bonnet about me, right? He sees the publicity. I'm not being disrespectful to Micky Theo, right? He's been a little bit disrespectful to me, right? I gave my opinion of what I believed would be the outcome of his fight with John Fury. But Micky Theo calling me a coward is a joke, right? Because that's one thing I'm not, right? Now the thing is, when I was speaking to Micky Theo,
how could you ever be a coward?
when I was speaking to Micky Theo,
there might be a lot of things that called us.
Listen, when I was speaking to Micky Theo, right? And if he's a man, right? If he's a man and he's got a little bit of morals, he would come onto the video and he would make a video to back up what I'm saying. So I said, I tell you what, Mickey. I said, see, after the fight with John Fury, if I win, right, and Misfits want to put me on again, rather than me fight the YouTuber, I will ask them to match me with you. Okay, Mickey? How does that sound to you? Don't be making any more of your stupid videos calling me a coward. Do you understand? Right? Because that's one thing I'm not. I'm not a coward. Do you understand? When I was shot, I was shot to the front. When I was stabbed to the front. I wasn't stabbed in the back, I shot in the back running away. Do you understand? I will walk forward. And when I fight John Fury, I walk to the centre of the ring. And me and him will fight in the centre of the ring. Hopefully I'll win. John will be thinking the same. But as far as Micky Theo goes, he's trying to get a bit of publicity. I don't knock him for trying to get a bit of publicity. But don't be calling me a coward. Because that's one thing I'm not.
Well, look, it's another possible fight. After a one with John, it makes a lot of business sense. Get the crowds in for that. It's a fight we want to see. And then there's another possible fight there with Micky Theo, which is another one I would love to see as well, I have to say.
There's no money in this at the moment.
Yeah, but afterwards, there's a very possibility there would be. That would be the time to do it.
Mickey should get onto the camera and back up what I've just said. Because that's what I said to him. I said, yeah, if I beat John, and I feel like doing it again, and Misfits feel like backing me, rather than a YouTuber, rather than a celebrity, I'll put your name into the hat, Mickey. And that's what I said to him. Do you understand? I think he's unblocked me on the phone now. I haven't tried to ring him again. Misfits Boxing, they've given me an opportunity to fight again. And at this stage of my life, at 58 years of age, to have something to focus on, to have a challenge at this stage of my life, separate to the money. Separate to the money. The money's a bonus. John Fury said on his podcast the other day, I watched his podcast, and he's saying that he hasn't had an offer. He hasn't been given anything for him and his lawyer.
Saying about paper, we want it in paper and all that. What's the thing with
listen,
that, Joe? So we can say that.
I know Misfits have tried to contact him and his lawyer to talk about a potential fight with me. Because I know that when John done this podcast now the other day, he's back to calling me them and they again, which is a bit disrespectful. I call him by his name, John Fury. He calls me them and they. I've earned the right to be called by my name, by another fighter. Do you understand? I pulled him on one of the videos that I made. I said, John, call me by my name. You're another fighter, same as me. We've earned the right to call each other by our name. So he's gone back to calling me them or they. The guy that was interviewing him called me by my name. Now John was saying he wants to go into the barn and have a fight with me in the barn. Now if he's got the confidence and the courage to go into a barn to fight with me, why won't he get into a boxing ring and do it with me? Do you understand? Where we can both earn a few quid. Does you begrudge me an earner? I've earned the right. I've earned the right to have the stage to perform in, in front of the masses. Sit down, negotiate terms with Misfits Boxing, and let's me and John have a good tear up. Do you understand? We'll have a good tear up.
You'd have a great tear up.
Oh yeah.
He comes from the finest line. Listen. Man, that there is.
He carries a good name. The Saudi royal family, they have given the stage, the world stage now to boxing. It's been took away from Las Vegas.
It's reviving it.
Yes, I think it's great.
It.
So if the Saudi royals want to back Misfits Boxing and put it on, KSI, he's already said that he wants to be involved with it. I don't know some of the other guys that are up there in the YouTube with the Misfits Boxing, but I think it's a great organisation. I think they're doing boxing wonders, and they're doing the sport proud for me. And
which is really lifting it up. It needs to be.
But listen. Do you know what I mean? John Fury is saying on these podcasts, right, that I'm like begging for money, right? I'm not begging for money. I'm a working man. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take drugs, I don't gamble. I've worked all my life. Do you understand? He thinks that I'm begging for money trying to get a fight off him. He was the one that put the challenge out. I've stepped forward to take up the challenge, right? I've got a good job. I work for two good men. I work for John O'Connor and I work for Ali. Right? I'm a working man. I've worked all my life. I'm not rich. I'm not rich in any shape or form.
Absolutely, but
right?
your own money.
I keep my head above water. Do you understand? Yeah. But I earn my own money. I don't need John Fury for me to eat my breakfast, dinner and tea. Do you understand? Right? I work, my wife works. I've got no children, right? And I've worked all my life. Do you understand? I don't need John Fury to feed me.